Awesome. Hello, everyone. So today we are going to give a session on like enabling the SAP DevSecOps Excellence with Tricentis Toolset. DevSecOps is the latest buzzword in the industry, how to make system secure with seamless DevOps operations. So we are going to present on how do the Tricentis tools helps in this whole DevSecOps operations. Uh, So just to introduce myself, I'm Yogesh Gangaya, AVP of Quality Engineering and DevSecOps. I'm working for a company named ImpactQA. I have 20 plus years of experience in the industry. My major area of focus is on like DevSecOps, enterprise automation setup, and also integrating A and ML concepts in the DevOps framework. Over to you, Bill.
Yes, greetings everyone. My name is Bill Hayden. I'm an enterprise alliance architect with Tricentis, and that means I work almost exclusively with our partner community on how to sell, position, and educate across the spectrum how our tools combined with our partners, people, and process and governance can make a difference in the industry. And that's really what Tricentis was founded to do, to take quality and make it a force multiplier rather than something that inhibits speed. As you can see, this gray hair is well earned because I have 26 years experience in the industry, starting as a test automation expert and performance engineer in the 90s in the build up to Y2K. I worked for several organizations in the partner ecosystem, in fact, which is why I enjoy my job so much now because all of my former colleagues are now my customers. So today, we're really looking forward to sharing with you insights on how our technology helps to enable Impact QA's people and process for the overall success of our customers.
Yes, and we are trusted partner with Tricentis, and we have almost 14 plus active projects going on, like where we use Tricentis tools quite actively. So, and again, like it's a great value addition in our current setup because Tricentis has the features which are made for SAP, and most of our projects are like ERP based implementation. So, SAP is the core ERP we are implementing. Okay, and in today's agenda, we are going to explore the SAP S/4HANA challenges, especially in the implementation and upgrades, and also we are going to brief about like how do the DevSecOps setups work in the SAP S/4HANA environments, and how do the Tricentis toolchain play a major role in the DevSecOps setup. And also, we'll give you some of the key takeaways, and there will be a question and answers in the end. Please feel free to ask whatever questions you guys have. Okay, just a quick glance at ImpactQA as a company. We are a niche quality engineering company. We provide services in core quality engineering offerings and AI-based test automation, performance engineering, security testing, and also we take care of advisory services for the SAP HANA implementation testing services. And we are recently listed in Everest Group as a top QA company to watch out for. We are in the top quadrant there. And we also take care of consulting work for ERP implementation. We have the principal consultants who take care of SAP S/4HANA, and we also work with the top four consulting firm in the industry. Total of 140 plus consultants with 20 plus years of experience. They are globally distributed across, and we have our headquarters in Texas with the delivery centers in US, UK, and India. Uh, we are in the industry since last 12 years, and we handled almost like 500 plus projects. Most of the projects are US based and also the Middle East based companies. And we also serve like 300 plus clients till now. And it's like a globally distributed team with a very talented set of folks who can handle both SAP functional side, technical side, and also the quality engineering needs of any company where we work with. Okay, Tricentis audio.
So Tricentis was actually founded in 2007 by Wolfgang Plotz, who realized at that time that quality in general and test automation in particular had not lived up to its promise. And we've had test automation since the 90s. As I mentioned, I was using it in the build up to Y2K. But what was the challenge? What was Wolfgang looking at? Because he saw that quality had become the bottleneck to speed. Quality was driving up cost. Quality wasn't identifying where all the risks were. So Tricentis actually is based on the Battle of Thermopylae, movie The 300, because he felt like they were 300 people against the world when they started. That's where the name originated. And he founded it on three core principles about how we can take quality and change it to a force multiplier rather than a barrier. Principle one, what if we could do less testing, but do it more intelligently by understanding where the risk really is for any change coming into a system? Two, let's tackle that automation problem. Why has automation not lived up to its promise? Well, because every time we tried automation prior to that, it was based on a scripting or coding language. So we're literally building a secondary code base to test a primary. In result, we're spending more time fixing our automation than running it. In fact, it was a great book written by Charlie Lee in '04 outlining this, saying if you've automated more than 40% of your tests, you're spending more time fixing than running. So Wolfgang's idea was, if that's the problem, let's take code out of the equation for test automation. Let's create a visual model-based solution to test automation that's code-free, highly readable, can work across any interface at the UI, API, and data level. As a result, our customers now enjoy, particularly with some of our latest innovations in machine learning and AI, 80 to 90% coverage with minimal maintenance concerns. So second principle, if you're going to automate, let's do it in the most maintainable way possible so we're running more than fixing. His third principle, why do we need to reinvent the wheel every time we go from functional to performance and recreate all those artifacts? What if we could leverage everything we've done on the functional side? And in that way, he's introduced efficiencies into the system. So when people ask me what Tricentis does, I quite simply say, we help to de-risk the accelerated pace of change. Because since '07, things have only gotten faster. This is the paradigm that will help you keep up with that pace of change, particularly in an SAP environment. As you can see, we have well over 3,000 customers and growing. We're leveraging machine learning and AI very thoroughly, and we rely on our partners like ImpactQA, not only for the delivery and success, but for the sales as well. We do 2/3 of our global sales through our partner community. So very, very proud to be here with ImpactQA today, and very proud to represent what Tricentis stands for and providing those technologies that enable these successes. Oh, and one last note on the SAP side. We are actually embedded in everything SAP does. They use us to test internally. We're on their Solex price list. We're part of their core methodology and core tool chains. That was Wolfgang's ultimate vision when he first founded the company. And he is very proud to say that we are intimately embedded with everything SAP does now.
Awesome. So today we are going to cover what are the current challenges in SAP S/4HANA migration or upgrade. In any S/4HANA migration, either the people move from legacy application to S/4HANA or from ECC to S/4HANA, or even ECC or HANA to S/4. So RISE is the current methodology, which is widely used across the industry for S/4HANA migration. So even a couple of our customers are also implementing S/4HANA via RISE methodology. The challenges what we faced is the complex system landscape. Like even though SAP is a core ERP sitting in the center of the application landscape, it has to integrate with the CRM applications, SCM applications, and other standalone applications in the landscape. So the complex landscape make it difficult for us to do an end-to-end testing. So that's where the sophisticated tools comes into picture, especially tools like Tricentis, Task and Qtest. These are like handy tools while doing the SAP testing. And Tricentis, the beauty is it can handle 130 plus applications. So it's one tool for the whole enterprise IT landscape validation. It can handle the integration issues, the time, and again, the security thing is one thing which is usually overlooked by most of the customers. We use a sophisticated tool named Onapsys to take care of the security testing, and which works in tandem with the Tricentis tools for the sake of execution. So using these sophisticated tools, we can take care of the time constraints, integration issues, and also So any of the business impact which is predicted can be safely mitigated using this sophisticated tool set. We can prevent the disruptions, ensures compliance, and also ensure that the data is pristine while migrating from the legacy application to the SAP S/4HANA application. That's pretty much it. And so understanding the risk of SAP migration. So whenever we do SAP S4 HANA migration, the focus is more on like how the custom code is impacted and also the existing core functionalities are impacted. So we have to ensure that the quality of the custom code is properly uh, like conducted, and ensure that like when we do a rise of object validation, all the custom codes are properly validated using Tricentis task, and also its impact on the existing functionalities must be mitigated via sophisticated tools named live compare. um, so we also need to ensure that the deprecated transactions are properly identified during the SAP migration, so that unnecessary testing is also uh, like avoided. And when we do impact analysis using live compare for mitigating the SAP migration, we take care of the impact on the existing core functionalities, and also the migrated custom code, and also the brand new custom code which is introduced as part of the migration requirements. So the Tricentis tools plays a major role in all kind of the migration challenges, and also the possible impact on the existing functionalities and custom code. Okay. And this is the SAP Activate methodology. Most of you are aware of it. This slide covers like how do the quality engineering tools align with SAP Activate methodology. So right from the beginning, like from prepare stage, we start using uh, the test management tools, where like Qtest is the leading tool in the market, and we used in most of our projects, and which plays a major role in ensuring that our requirements are properly captured, and we can design a high level test scenarios which is meant for like SITs and UAT down the line. And once we get a clear clarity in the explore phase, which are the functionalities which are going to be implemented in the realize, then we can start expanding on fit standard scenarios which are readily available from SAP core archives, and we build the test scripts based on that. And the customizations, once we get the requirements from the tech team on which are the rise up objects, we design the test scripts based on those customizations, and ensure that all the customizations are properly validated within our functional test cases. Especially for the fit to standard scenarios, we adopted early automation. So that's where Tricentis task play a major role. So we even before we start the official testing, we can get the fit to standard scenarios automated using Tricentis Tasca, which is a scriptless automation tool, which will help us in accelerating the whole SIT cycle. I can take one of the example in my previous client. Where they planned almost like 2 months for the SIT testing. We proposed this early automation, and the whole SIT cycle was reduced to 3 weeks because of the early automation using Tasca tool. And the same set of scripts are used in the post-production regression testing. So it's basically like win-win situation in all angles. There's an early investment on the tools licensing, but there's a very good return on investment in couple of testing cycles. And when we are doing a development of custom objects, we also take care of the code vulnerability testing. That's where OneOpsys tool comes into picture. It's a industry leading application security tool which takes care of the code scanning, vulnerability scanning, and also the patch scanning. And even it takes care of the threat detection from external threats, and also the internal threads which are introduced as part of the customization. So it's a sophisticated tool which is currently used widely in the RISE implementation projects in the industry, and we have a couple of consultants who are SMEs in this particular application testing aspects. And again, like the same set of scripts which are used for our early automation can be used for regression testing during the post-production world. When it gets into the data migration, the data integrity tool from Tricentis plays a major role. It has uh, the features which are built in for SP migration validation, and it's very handy and easy to learn. You recently, we had a client where they were using uh, one of the costly commercial tool for this whole migration validation. Then we proposed this data integrity. It played really well. And again, like they extended the same data integrity tool for other application, not only SAP. They used it for Oracle, even Salesforce. So that takes care of apple to apple comparison between the source and destination, and it takes care of the whole ETL validations. And again, it's scriptless and very easy to use. That's pretty much on the QE tools alignment approach in SAP Activate methodology. So today we are going to focus on like how can we enable SAP DevSecOps using Tricentis Toolset. As I covered in the earlier slides, uh, SAP DevSecOps means the concept of DevOps is basically for web-based applications or the client-server applications which are independent, where you develop it from scratch. But for package applications like SAP, there's no out of the box DevOps solution. We have to use multiple tools in an integrated manner to ensure that the DevOps is properly set up. And security is the piece which we introduced recently to ensure that even the application security is taken care in the whole DevOps setup. The DevOps setup includes multiple tools, right from ITSM tools, the ALM tools, the testing tools, the security testing tools, and also the change and release management tools. And the beauty of the Tricentis toolset is they can easily integrate it with the SAP core applications and also the third-party application using Open API concept. And the live compare is one tool which plays a major role in this whole DevSecOps, because that's the one which will let us know what is the optimized test scope for the changes happening in the system, so that we can accelerate the whole code movement using the live compare tool. And which usually takes care of the all the risk which is generated out of this custom code. And performance testing, Neoload is one of the leading tool in the market. Like it takes care of the performance testing needs of SAP, and again, it's an approved SAP solution, uh, uh, especially for SPS for HANA applications on the Fury side. The Neoload comes handy, and it takes care of the whole both load testing and endurance testing in a very sophisticated manner. That's pretty much from my side. And then the next one is again, this is the integrated tools framework. If you can see it here, there are a lot of tools which are integrated with each other. And this is like our custom tools framework we recently implemented in a couple of clients. So the requirement was to make like one tool as the single source of truth for all kind of changes happening in the systems. In most of the companies, they use ITSM tools for all their change management process. So either it can be ServiceNow or BMC Remedy. So we designed in such a way that okay, the ITSM tool can be directly integrated with the SAP Solution Manager or Cloud ILM, which acts as a transport management system. That's where all the change and release happens. So we integrated that tool with an ITSM tool, which exchanges the production instance and the code and config changes data back to ITSM tool, so that whenever the change is registered in ITSM tool, as soon as the change development happens within the SAP environment, all the status and whatever the current happenings within the solution manager tool will flow back to ServiceNow tool. So that will make ServiceNow as a single source of truth, which has the up-to-date data on what's happening within the development cycle. In the RISE implementation methodology, BTP is the platform where we can integrate it with the non-SAP application. So that's where all the customizations happens. They have a services named BAS, which is like a, business application service. That's where the custom requirements are going to be handled. They do custom coding using ABAP and Java and the regular HTML. So all the customizations are integrated with the CI/CD module within PTP. That's where like we take care of the DevOps code movement within the BTP, and the same thing is integrated with the Tricentis Live Compare. So as soon as the code changes happens, the list of transport requests flow into live compare. Live compare will do the change impact analysis and do an analysis of the impacted scenarios and take the related test cases from Qtest and Tasca and give us an optimized test script, test suite, so that instead of doing a whole regression testing, we can do an optimized regression testing which is specific to that particular change. If you look at the right hand side, like those which are marked in orange color, they're all like Tricentis Toolset. They're all integrated with each other, and they take care of the complete testing needs of SAP and non-SAP applications in an end-to-end manner. And you can see on AppSys tool, we are using it for security testing. Whenever the custom code changes happens, all the code scanning happens via Synapses, and whatever the vulnerabilities found can be fixed then and there uh, in the development QA environment, so that we can avoid all the defect leakage to production and keep the system safe. And we can also see here like Tricentis is also integrated with ALM tool. In most of the customer, they use Jira as the ALM tool for their agile project management. And even we use like Cloud ALM itself as an agile application lifecycle management tool and version one in some of the cases. So in all cases, the Tricentis toolset directly integrate with the Jira, so that all the testing statuses can be exchanged between the Jira and Qtest, and also the requirement traceability happens between both applications. In turn, like the application lifecycle management is also integrated with ITSM tool. So that's how like the whole change management happens seamlessly because all the tools talk to each other. In one of the like customer based out of East Coast, they used to take almost like 6 weeks to move a change from dev to prod because of all the complexities and distributed systems. After integrating all these tools and setting it up, like they could do it in every alternative day. It's like if you think of the kind of the time savings and also uh, the business satisfaction there. So it is like drastical improvement in their day-to-day life because of this integrated tools framework. And this is the first like DevSecOps tools framework in the SAP space. We implemented successfully for a couple of clients.
Oh, thank you for that overview. That was fascinating how you've integrated particularly security with our technology in a highly agile environment. I don't see too many DevSecOps
Yes.
frameworks in the SAP space. That is so impressive. Now, what I'd like to do now is just break down each of the Tricentis technologies in a little more detail and then discuss how it benefits in this framework. So let's start with Wolfgang's first idea, which was what if we could do less testing, but do it more intelligently? And that is our Live Compare product. Live Compare is actually a suite of capabilities, of which change impact analysis is just one. I'll discuss some of those others as well, but it really is a Swiss Army knife that any organization needs when they're beginning their SAP migration journey. So let me give you a theoretical overview of how Live Compare operates. We install it in the production environment so it can keep an eye on how SAP is being used day to day. And from that analysis, it builds a risk profile. It uses a rudimentary version of machine learning to do this. In fact, this was the first tool where we introduced machine learning into the overall quality process. And as the system is being used more, that risk profile is being more well defined. What's being used the most? Who's doing what the most? What data is being used? How are we analyzing where transactions failed? We can prioritize certain business transactions as well as being more or less business critical. So while it's building that risk profile, it's also keeping an eye on the lower environments. So let's say a transport comes in or a charm into the QA or dev environment. It can immediately detect what the impacted objects are or that change simply by benchmarking it against another environment, whether it be QA or prod. Now, there are other tools that can show you the impacted objects, but it usually requires that you keep test documentation up to date, which is a manual process. This will do it automatically. So now that we know what the impacted objects are, how can we further optimize the testing effort? Well, it does something that we call a depth analysis. How much effort's required to get to each of those impacted objects? Let's say, for a traditional example, we go through VA01 to test an include table that changed. Well, we might have to go 4 levels deep if we take that path. But in VAO2, I only have to go 2 levels deep. And oh, by the way, I passed 2 more impacted objects on the way to that include table. So I'm going to prioritize VAO2 as the test case I need to run that minimizes the effort required. So what we get out of the preliminary analysis is an optimized list of test cases that are custom tailored to the exact change that came into the system. Less testing, more intelligently. But it doesn't stop there. It then looks into your test repository and says, I've got great news. 70% of the tests you need to run to validate that change, you already have automation for. I went ahead and ran that. Here are the results. But that other 30%, well, now you know where you need to expand your automation library. And in cases where I might have to write a test for an esoteric transaction that I'm not familiar with, in the analysis, I have the names of the people in the organization that do that the most day to day. I can go sit with them, capture what they do, and fill that gap. Or, as we're about to unveil very, very soon, hopefully this month, we'll have some agentic artificial intelligence capability that could auto-generate that missing automation for us. But more on that in a later webinar. But that is just the first step. It will also detect which tests might need to be healed or updated. It'll help you do environment analysis, pre-migration analysis, data analysis. It has an op unit testing tool built in. So as I said, Live Compare for SAP is your one-stop Swiss Army knife for anyone going on this transformation journey. Because after you move to S/4HANA, your pace of change is going to be accelerated beyond anything your teams have ever been able to keep up with before. Our friends at Bose Acoustics found that out the hard way. They were used to doing 2 or 3 major upgrades a year. They had more than 50 in a quarter. And the gentleman who oversaw that effort said Live Compare is the only way they were able to keep up with these changes. In fact, he was so impressed, he came to work for Tricentis, and he's one of my colleagues. Now, what I want to do is turn it back over to Yogesh to talk about his perception and the comments on Live Compare and how it's helped ImpactQA with their DevSecOps framework.
Yes. Thank you, Bill. So Live Compare comes handy in most of the SAP S/4HANA migrations because this is the only technical way to do an accurate analysis of what's the impact to an existing functionality because of the changes happening. So let me take an example of like a recent transportation client which we worked on a S/4HANA migration recently. They had almost like 400 plus custom objects which are getting migrated from ECC to S/4HANA, and they were struggling to figure it out. Okay, what's the exact impact on the new functionalities which are going to introduce as part of this S/4HANA migration? And there was no proper strategy. Finally, the SI partner came back to them saying that okay, you have to do 3 months of exclusive testing to get it validated. Then we got into an advisory role there where we suggested Live Compare tool for that particular impact analysis, and we did a pilot project and showed them, okay, because of this migration, these are the only set of test scripts which needs to be validated. You don't need to do 3 months, and the whole testing can be like reduced to 2 weeks because they already had Tasca, which had like very good regression suite. And it went so well, and in terms of the money savings for them, it's almost like runs into millions because it's a big company with a bigger landscape and too many consultants involved, and the whole project cost has been reduced because this impact analysis testing time period was reduced, and they started using it for the regular the changes happening in release cycles, and now it's like they can't live without Live Compare. And this is like one investment. I suggest every customer to invest on it because it's worth the money. It will save a lot of money. It will give you peace of mind while moving code from your lower environment to the production, and it's like accurate testing. You can't miss anything with Live Compare.
Now, thank you for that. Now, let's move on to Wolfgang's second idea because it feeds directly from the Live Compare analysis. Remember I said it looks in your test repository for the automation? Well, that automation is provided by Tricentis Tosca. This really was the core of what Wolfgang set the company up to do. Tackle that automation maintenance problem by taking code out of the equation and creating a scriptless, model-based MBTA test automation solution. Now, what is a model? We talk about it all the time. For UI testing, a model is just a visual representation of the screen that you're currently driving or validating against. You can actually see a model over here on the left. I have a list of models you see in the tree and a picture of the screen that that model represents. Along with the different objects I can either drive or validate against. For API testing, a model is a request response pair, but also very visual. For data testing, a model would be a query in the resulting data set. So as you can see, Tosca works at the UI, API, and data level. The advantage of this is purely maintenance, readability, maintainability. I could actually put a Tosca SAP test in front of an SAP business user, and even if they've never seen Tosca, they could read it and understand it and give me feedback as to whether I structured the test properly or if the data was correct, if I missed a flow. Also doesn't stop at SAP. As we mentioned previously, it works the same way across over 170 different interfaces, whether it's mobile, mainframe, web, SAP, or anything in between. Same thing applies at the API and data level. We're going to get a little more into data when we get to the data integrity portion. So we're really talking about end-to-end testing. SAP on average touches anywhere from 30 to 50 other applications. How are you ensuring that that entire process flow is correct for any changes in the system? It has integrated test data management and test data optimization built in as well. Something else that Wolfgang introduced, he actually patented. By the way, all of Wolfgang's ideas are in his book, Enterprise Continuous Testing. I highly recommend picking up a copy. And because it integrates so thoroughly with Live Compare, we can literally measure the risk and understand where we are. And one thing we don't talk about a lot, we just mentioned that SAP touches 30 to 50 other systems, and we want to do this end-to-end testing. Well, what if some of those systems aren't available? What if they don't have a sandbox? What if they don't have a QA environment or haven't even been built yet in the case of some of the new microservices? We can virtualize calls coming back from those systems so that that doesn't become a bottleneck, and we can continue on with that true end-to-end testing paradigm. One example I always like to use is this may be familiar to some of you, the restaurant chain, the Olive Garden, owned by Darden Corporation. If you were to go on their website and order spaghetti for curbside pickup, you have touched 27 different systems. So when we talk about end-to-end testing, we're talking about establishing that those flows work from inception all the way to order delivery. And doing so, in Wolfgang's words, in the most maintainable way possible. We can sustain 80 to 90% automation rates without having to have a small army of people because of the model-based approach. It's very easy to update. We've also introduced other capabilities such as self-healing, which is a neural network-based capability that will actually detect changes in the screen during execution and make the update, and then ask the tester at the end of the execution flow, oh, I noticed this button changed. If this is correct, click here, I'll update your entire suite. But if not, you found a defect. I'm a big believer that no matter how advanced we get with AI and machine learning, a competent quality engineer needs to be in the loop to make exactly those judgment calls. We've also introduced other capabilities such as Vision AI, which is a universal driver for UI testing. Powerful enough where I can actually create my models, not from the live system, but from mockups. I could do it from a hand-drawn napkin of a window, something our chief technology officer often likes to show off at trade shows. So in this way, I can shift my automation creation further left. If I have the mockups of what the new screens look like, I can go ahead and build my automation, and it will be ready when the main system comes online. And last but not least, and I teased this before, we're introducing a capability by the end of this month with our first agentic AI offering. Instead of going through and manually creating these tests, what if I could just tell the AI, create a sales order flow in SAP Fiori, here's the data file, and it did it for me in an interactive fashion. But able to perceive what it sees on the screen, create the Tosca at the moment of execution, execute through the screen given the data. If it's missing data, it's smart enough to ask us for it. So it's an interactive session, again, quality engineer in the loop, and complete through to the final objective, the completion of the sales order. And what I'm left with afterwards is not only an execution record, but a documented test in English, as well as the Tosca artifact that I can then add to my library. So we believe that this initial agentic AI offering is going to be key in helping people not only overcome the maintenance trap when it comes to test automation, but the time upfront for test creation as well. So Tosca really is the centerpiece of enabling us to keep up with the pace of change, coupled with doing that less testing more intelligently. Now, Yogesh, how have you used Tosca in the frameworks?
Oh, thank you, Bill. So, as you mentioned, the like the dynamic capability of Tasca to accommodate multiple application, that's the key thing. So, one of the recent client, where they had like 5 different applications. So the data starts from mainframes, and also data starts from some of the CRM applications, and it ends up in SAP, and it can goes to HCM applications, some revenue recognition application, and also ends up in some standalone application which is developed by them. And when we went there, like, it was all in silos. People used to test it in silos, and there was no integrated manner to test it, and testing used to take like hell lot of time because of the coordination points. So we suggested Tasca, and we just like automated one end-to-end vanilla scenario which included 7 different applications. Click of a button, in next 20 minutes they have a result at the end of the session. Even the CIO of that company was impressed. Okay, this is what we are looking for. Like, the tool was there, but nobody knew that how to use it, and they adopted it for the enterprise-wide automation. So right from whatever happens within that company, the complete like lead to cash was tested by Tricentis Tasca, and on top of it, we introduced live compare and data integrity and neoload for the data integration testing and the performance testing part. It's kind of like complete Tricentis family of tools handling their whole enterprise testing needs. And this is one tool in the market. Like, no other company offers like this kind of like a tool set which can accommodate the entire need of the enterprise application testing needs. That's one good example. And recently, like, when we started using rice implementation for one of the existing customer, they had the same issue. The too many applications in the landscape, they don't know how to do an end-to-end validation using automation. We brought in Tasca, and the beauty of it, it takes care of the Fury based automation testing. At the same time, it takes care of a .NET based application, like, which is entirely different UI. So which is like entirely seamless, even though there's a time gap in between task as an internal mechanism to wait for other system to respond. So there's no manual intervention. Even business users are trained to use it. So recently, like, in one of the business scenario where they had an emergency release, that they had some changes which supposed to go next day morning, and only the business and couple of technical SMEs were there. They don't know how to test it before tomorrow morning 8 a.m. And that's where like we chimed in saying, okay, you figure out like what's a chain needs to be done. Like, we got the chain done in the development environment. We used live compare to figure out what is the impact on the existing scenarios. It also gave us the optimized test scope. We got the testing done in next 4 hours based on the optimized test scope, and we got approval from the C-level people on the code movement, the CCB approvals. And the next time on in the code went to production, people were all excited. Okay, how is the production reacts? Like, zero. It's a like eerie silence on the other side. Things were like as normal as the day-to-day life. People were impressed. Okay, this was never the case. Moving a emergency change is always a chaos, and people need to burn their midnight oil to figure out what's happening on the other side of the globe, to figure who's testing, who's developing, who's moving the code. But with this all integrated tool set, the things were so smooth, and it gave them a confidence. Even a business folk who is non-technical can handle it. So yeah.
Excellent. Now, another aspect of Tosca that you had touched on briefly already, let's talk more about that data layer, because it's far more than just executing a query and looking at the results. Now, this capability is very near and dear to my heart, because 10 years ago, I led a manual data integrity team for an organization in Atlanta. In fact, this diagram that you see is not too different than what we had hanging on our conference room wall. So what was the problem we were trying to solve? This particular organization was aggregating data from a lot of different point of sale systems. Some were Oracle, some were homegrown, some were mainframe. They were bringing that data into Informatica and transforming it so it would be a consistent format, and then placing it in a data lake so they could run analytics on it for sales and marketing decisions. My team was the only quality layer ensuring that that data was moving and transforming correctly on a continuous basis. In fact, what we found was we had to create 2-page table joins in order just to keep up with all the various complexities of the transformations. And we had to run those manually and then stare at the results and compare it to a known golden set of results. We call that stare and compare. Guess what? That doesn't scale very well. Doing it manually, we're able to touch maybe 6% of the data, working 6 days a week, 10 to 12 hours a day. And I thought to myself, this is lunacy that any organization would trust the quality of their sales and marketing decisions to this approach. So when I came to Tricentis 5 years ago, this really caught my eye because this solves that problem. The ability to do not tens, not thousands, but millions of data validations every few minutes in a continuous data monitoring way with a reconciliation engine that we've built on top of Tosca. We've also leveraged all the other capabilities of Tosca, model-based test automation, and the maintainability that comes with that. In fact, out of the box, data integrity comes with dozens of templatized tests that already have the SQL written for you for doing pre-ingestion checking, field tests, formatting checks, things even down to the detail of minimum maximum length rules. So I don't have to write that SQL. And through a series of point and click wizards, I can automatically generate hundreds of integrity tests. In fact, 5 years ago, I went back to that same organization and showed them that capability along with the record reconciliation engine. Gentlemen stood up in the back of the room and said, we've been doing this by hand all these years, and you just recreated all our work in one demo? I said, yes. They bought it 6 weeks later. This technology doesn't just solve a technical problem, it solves a business problem. Because what's the penalty for data being wrong today? Incorrect reports carry huge penalties. USAA found that out the hard way twice with $85 million fines. Data scientists spending 2/3 of their day scrubbing data, not trusting the reports. Or, as we like to talk about a lot, how about training our AIs? What happens if that data is incorrect? So this is continuous data monitoring, not for quality assurance, but for business assurance. The problem that this particular technology solves is tremendous and nowhere more so than the SAP world. Now, Yogesh, I would love to hear how you've implemented this to solve some of those problems for your customers.
Oh, yes, well. So recently we came across a client like they had the big data from the legacy application which needs to be migrated, and their only solution was doing it in Excel based format, and they want to involve the business people there. And it was a chaotic process, and just for this migration validation, they allocated almost like 6 weeks time. And they asked, is there any solution available in the market which can take care of this? We've introduced data integrity there. And the beauty of data integrity is like it shows, okay, what matched, what didn't match, what is in source, what's only in source, what's only in the destination. And it also takes care of the transformation logic in between, so that if you have a certain format of data in the source, and if you're expecting some other format in destination, the data integrity tool will take care of all the validation by even converting the data in between. And the the accelerated way in which it executes it, that's impressive. Like millions of lines of records, when it compared, we got it done in 3 minutes. People were stunned. Okay, how did it happen? Okay, yeah, this is a tool which it takes care of both the comparison. And again, like you can directly integrate it with the DBs of both the systems, so it's a DB to DB comparison. And even in between, cache is very minimal. It doesn't save data. Like some people care about, okay, oh, how about my data, is it going to be saved in some third party application? No, it's only like instance comparison. It will give you a result, how many match, how many didn't match, what is in only in source, what's only in destination. And it also shows, okay, what's the mismatch data between source and destination with a highlighted color. So everything is in a beautiful UI, which is a different experience for the business people. Just like instead of doing their whole manual comparison using an Excel file, they sit in a room, watch a screen, the tool will execute, it will show, okay, what's the mismatch data. They will directly work with the technical people to get the fixing of the mismatching thing. It's such an experience. They said, okay, not only for this, and whenever the data migration happens within the organization, they want to use this tool. So This is like one tool which made a big difference, especially in the S4 HANA migration projects.
That's outstanding because nowhere is data more important than an SAP system. It's constantly moving, particularly when you look at those analytics reports and the dashboards. And one thing we didn't mention, because data integrity is based on the power of Tosca, we can validate the visual reports that SAP generates, whether they're PDFs, whether they're dashboards, etc., and compare that data to make sure the transformation rules fire properly all the way back through our data pipeline to initial ingestion. So thank you for that insight.
Thank you.
Now let's move on to Wolfgang's third idea. But Yogesh, I want you to set the stage for this one.
Yes.
What are the performance testing challenges that you see in the SAP space?
Yes. So especially in the modern application landscape, systems are distributed across in-house data centers. Some of them are like public data centers, and even some of them are like third-party applications which are hosted in a different environment itself. So the performance is a key thing for the end user customer experience. So especially SAP world, time is money. Means we don't want to risk any of the SAP operations because of the performance issues. So that's where like sophisticated tool, the named Neoload comes into picture. So which will let us know uh, like how is the system is performing in the UI and what are the bottlenecks in the backend, either in the DB level or the application layer, and ensure that we can fix it before the code moves to production. And the advantage with Neoload is it has a direct integration with other application like other Tricentis tools, so that we can do kind of like in one go in one window, takes care of both functional and performance testing seamlessly. And again, like in the CI/CD and DevOps setup, performance testing is one key piece. Like whenever we do testing based on the changes, we take care of both the function and the performance testing. And Neoload is designed in such a way that it's easy to integrate it in one window, and then like do the complete execution, get the result back to the end user in a uh, sophisticated UI format. So yeah.
Oh, thank you for that. And you hit on all the key topics, and that feeds directly into our founder's third vision. Why do we have to recreate everything in the performance realm that we've already created in the functional realm? What if, with just 2 clicks, I could take a Tosca test and turn it into a Neoload user path? Also, virtually a no-code. We're going to call it a no-code, low-code type of approach to performance testing. Now, why is that important? Same reason in the functional arena: maintenance. For those of you who've been performance engineers, particularly with some other tools in the industry, how maintainable are your tests when the system changes? I can remember with some of the previous generation of tools, I'd have to throw everything out and start over again. In fact, we always put performance testing at the end of an initiative because we needed the system to be stable enough in order to support HTTP level tests. Pretty logical. And as a result, we got one shot to do the performance test, and they gave less than satisfactory results over 90% of the time. We used to say being a performance engineer is just the art of giving bad news. Well, Neoload figured out how to solve that maintenance problem. Not only is test creation much more rapid, particularly if we can leverage existing Tosca artifacts, like I mentioned, but the maintenance of those tests is much, much easier as well. And it has all the trappings of your enterprise level performance testing platform. It supports API testing. It integrates with all the leading observability tools, because as the performance engineers in this call will likely agree, we can generate load. But finding those performance bottlenecks in the meantime to resolution is the real secret to performance engineering and performance testing providing value. Now, how much does it accelerate? Let's just take a look at some of these maintenance numbers and test creation numbers, and you can see how truncated it is. And what this has enabled us to do for the first time, particularly for systems that are adjacent to SAP, is in sprint performance testing as part of the DevSecOps pipeline. Something we never would have thought possible before because the maintenance overhead and the maintenance burden for performance tests was just too great. Neoload solves that problem. And some of these stats that you see on the right almost seemed too good to be true, but they actually came, at least that top one, from a Forrester report in 2022, where they were talking about the maintenance burden of performance tests in the SAP realm. And they found that through Neoload's unique approach, it reduced that burden by 99.4%. Now, we can talk about why performance is important in any system, but particularly SAP. We're not just talking about systems crashing due to load. We're talking about slow performance impacting supply chains, impacting the amount of revenue a system can recognize in a 24-hour period. In one example, we were able to speed up a system through performance tuning and performance engineering so that our customer was able to take in $1 million more a week in orders. That's real tangible bottom line impact. And Neoload solving that maintenance problem in the performance realm, as well as being able to leverage what was created in the functional realm as the basis, has been key to that. Now, Yogesh, I'm going to turn it back over to you to take us home.
Yes. So in order to master the SAP S/4HANA migration, so we have to employ the best testing practices, especially using best of the breed testing tools provided by Tricentis, which are like Tasca, Qtest, Neoload, Live Compare, and Data Integrity. So using that, we can do a comprehensive impact analysis. We can take care of the test data management, and also we can do automated and manual testing using both the Qtest and Tasca. And it can accommodate the complete end-to-end validation using these tool sets, especially during the complex S/4HANA migration systems. The change impact analysis and data integrity are the two key pieces which can be taken care by Live Compare and data integrity. So if you adopt the Tricentis toolset, it's basically you are adopting the best practices of SAP testing. So as simple as that. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Some of the key takeaways from this presentation are like we address like how to take care of a migration risk in terms of change impact analysis and data validations, how to take care of the test prioritization using some of the sophisticated like features available within the systems, and test suite creations, automation testing, and even the application testing. We talked about a tool named OneOpsys, which is leading tool in the market, which takes care of DAST and SAST, dynamic and static application security testing. For performance validation, Neoload is the top tool in the market, especially for SAP-based performance testing. And change impact analysis, there's no competitor in the market other than Live Compare, which is the tool which takes care of all your migration needs in terms of like analyzing the impact, and also it will make you prepare for any future upgrades by giving you like a complete estimation of how much testing effort it takes to take care of this whole migration, what is the development effort involved, so that you can plan your activities accordingly, and also take care of your budget allocations. And data integrity, as I said, the Tasca DI tool is the tool for any of the custom the data migration from SAP to non-SAP applications, and also a non-SAP to SAP application, which takes care of the validation of even the transformation logic in between, and it's like really very fast. And again, the customer experience based on what we experienced since last 3 to 4 years, it's awesome. Like anybody who adapted to the TI tool, it's like every year they're just renewing the subscription and using it for not only for SAP, even for the non-SAP needs of data migrations. Okay. Yep. We are at the end of the session. So any questions, please go ahead and ask. We are watching you in the. Okay.
Feel free to enter them into the interface.
Yeah.
I do see one question here, and Yogesh, I think this will be for you, and it's an interesting topic. Most people focus mainly on the quality aspects and the time savings aspects, but you made a point of integrating security into the overall process, which I in particular find very unique. They're asking if you could elaborate a bit more on the overall quality impact that the security component adds to the framework.
Yeah, especially during the S/4HANA migration, whenever you do the custom coding, the code scanning is one thing which you have to do to ensure that there are no vulnerabilities introduced as part of the custom coding. SAP provides ABAP test copy to take care of some of the basic validation of the coding standards, but it doesn't catch all the vulnerabilities. But OneOps is one sophisticated tool. Again, it's an SAP approved tool which has like 1,000+ protocols which are embedded within the tool, which will verify your code against those 1,000+ protocols, and it will suggest, okay, what are the vulnerabilities found, how to fix it. So it will even give a mitigation methodology, and that's kind of a quality gate which will ensure that code is clean and there are no vulnerabilities before it moves to higher environments in the SAP S4 and also, OneOpsys has a threat detection methodology which will take care of the external threat detections in case of any malware or ransomware request coming out of the integrated system. Especially if SAP is integrated with third-party application, it will do the testing of those kind of threats at the beginning stage itself, and it will notify the like internal admin or a cybersecurity expert to ensure that those threats are taken care before even reaches the system. And again, even in the patch management, it will give you a clear overview of, okay, what are the patches which are currently applied, what are the missing patches, what are the risks associated with those missing patches, and it will let you take care of applying those patches before even it becomes an issue in your technical landscape. Yeah.
Outstanding. Thank you for that insight. I think that was our only question. So I just want to thank everyone for attending, for going with us on this journey, for talking about how we can apply agile techniques, DevSecOps in the SAP space. Yogesh, it is an absolute honor that you've incorporated our technologies into the ImpactQA framework to help your teams be more effective and efficient.
My pleasure. Thank you, Bill.
So thank you everyone for attending, and please feel free to reach out if you have any other questions. But I highly encourage you to contact Yogesh at ImpactQA if you'd like to learn more, or come find us at Sapphire next week. We hope to see you there.
Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.